Welcome to Bonehead Weekly. I'm so excited about tonight's topic that I'm going to let Chad introduce it.
Well, no, we got to give credit where credit's due,
Well,
guys.
hold on. We'll give that hooker credit in a sec. Oh, I'm not supposed to. She told me something that apparently, I don't know if you two knew this, some people do not like being called hooker. Am I not?
No.
Well, Chad, you've known me for 20 some years. You're my
Yeah.
longest friend. James, you're my second longest friend. You both know when I say hooker, it really doesn't have a gender attached to it.
Well, and I
Well,
want to say, and I very rarely will do this, but let me
Same
defend
thing
you.
with bitch
I would say, let me
or
defend you. Let me look directly into the camera. Hello, America. What you don't understand is, in Joe's culture, that's a term of endearment. His mother's a hooker. His father's a hooker. Literally, since the Mayflower, they've been hookers,
they all came
and
from
that's
John
all
Lee.
they know. That was a good line. I'll get back to you later.
Thank you. I
So, in
usually
defense
I
of
usually do most of my good lines in the bathroom.
in defense of Joe, hookers, his entire family.
So before we give that wonderful human being who is not a hooker, who has told me that I should not say that. Well, she didn't say that actually. She thinks it's hilarious. She's just told me that a couple other people don't find it funny. Once again, I mean nothing by it. It's not it has nothing to do with gender affiliation whatsoever. But before we give her
Or
credit
career choice.
or career choice, I believe me, I'm all about people making some money. I am a capitalist. Except for the show, we've never made a dime. It costs me money actually every month. Chad, what's the topic?
so Barb, got to give her credit.
I call her Barbara.
I call her Barbara too, but I thought we had this conversation where she liked to be called Barb.
She doesn't mind being called Barb. She also doesn't mind being called Barbara, and her grandmother calls her Barbie.
Okay, well, I'm gonna call her Barbara because that's what I like calling her.
I calling her illustrious hooker.
So she was she was one of our favorite guests of the show.
We're gonna go that far.
Barbara,
say,
I did that because I knew Joe would do that. So
can I say she is literally now has become one of my dear friends. We message, we talk from time to time. We have
she's awesome.
It's weird how much I have in common with her.
Yeah,
Because she's
Well-
incredibly kind and sweet and generous and supportive.
Everything you're not.
James, you beat me to the punchline. She is the one, except for interests in movies and things we have, she's 180 degrees from me.
But by the way, I want to point out
Attractive, lovely hair. Okay, we both have lovely hair.
It's also interesting to me.
You're just
that,
mad.
I was gonna say, well, Barbara's is not receding.
Anyway, it is interesting to me that she actually was able to predict who was posting what.
Yeah,
She actually called me out. I posted that, and she goes, "That was James that posted that." And I'm like, "It could have been. It could have been."
I need to start posting. I need to start posting things now.
Yeah,
actually, we should each do it, and that can be a game now.
Yeah,
if it's a
the
sex
shell
joke,
game.
it's mine. If it's a shit, poop, fart, bodily function joke, 70% of the time it's Chad's. If it's something that is extremely esoteric and sounds like you
Or
could have
pessimistic.
cut three sentences out of whatever it was posted, that was James.
Yeah. Also, if it's something that's out of complete left field and makes absolutely no sense, but the person typing it,
that could be all three of us.
Yeah, that's true.
It could
that's
be all
true.
three of us. Dude, I sent you a
Chad,
song
you did not
before
narrow
it
that
started.
down.
No.
I sent you a song before we started recording because it's been stuck in my head for 3 days. It's out of left field.
You're a bastard for that, by the way.
Poor grammar also could be me. I will own that more than
any. Typos.
Typos.
Not you. No, that's me.
Poor grammar and typos also could be me or Chad.
But
anyway,
that's usually not
really
James.
important. Once again, let me look into the camera. This is really important. If it's somebody offering you money, message one of us directly. We've been hacked, because that totally ain't what we do.
Yeah.
Nope.
Mr. Beast is a different thing, and it ain't us.
Right.
So
our friend Barbara,
of the
show,
came
wants
up
to come back on again, by the way.
And we'd love to have her.
I told her you all weren't interested.
She knows that's not true.
No, I really did. And then I told her, I said, I don't know. I have to talk it over the other two.
You're so
Oh my
such a bastard.
Actually, hold on. Once again.
Oh no, I believe you.
I know some of y'all.
I'm just glad she listens and knows that that's not true.
Barbara will invite you back, and Joe won't be invited.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen. The reason it's not going to happen, Barbara, is neither one of them want to take the 5 minutes to put the show together and upload it.
You pretend I'd edit anything.
I'm
a big Literally, it would be bonehead raw feed if it was up to me. It'd be I ain't editing. I don't know. We'll put
You know
Chad in
what?
it.
Before we even get started, I
God, we're not going to make that 45-minute show.
I know. I really, real quick though, I do want to give it out for. I just did a show. I in Danville this past Saturday. I'll talk about it more in detail off air, but I want to say they were absolutely, positively wonderful to me. I'm still waiting on the check, but they were positively wonderful to me during the day. Met some wonderful people, and I've got us a couple of guests probably from that show too, gentlemen. So please. I wanted to say thank you to Danville Comic Con. It was, by the way, guys, I wouldn't doubt if they didn't have close to a couple thousand people at that. I don't know how they got them in and out. Chad. Shyamalan ding dong.
Yeah. So Barbara came up with a great idea, and this was something that we had spitballed years ago for our mini segments for our good friends at Good Movie Monday.
James doesn't spit.
Yeah, but it's
I expectorate.
It's basically comparing movies with similar plots. A lot of times those come out, and oddly enough, a lot of those come out in the exact same year, sometimes just by coincidence.
Well, and real quick, I will say there's some movies that have very similar plots, and then there's movies that have very similar themes.
Yes.
Or you know what I mean? Like, or just have a trope in common, perhaps. Or
yeah,
and I'll give an example later.
Yeah, and if you want the premier example of this, it's the one that gets talked about probably the most, and that would be Armageddon versus
Dante's
Deep Impact.
Peak and I just wanted to be contrary.
No, Armageddon versus Deep Impact. Both movies came out at the same year. It was not timed that way, but they both came out in the same summer. I don't know how you guys feel, but I believe Armageddon is it's superior. It's one of Michael Bay's few achievements.
It's
All
close
right.
The Rock, but
to watch those two movies when they came out.
I didn't say anything about The Rock and Bad Boys, James.
Oh,
but
I know. I just said
okay. Hold on. All right. So I will say this: when those two movies came out, I would agree with you that Armageddon was superior. But when it actually comes down, I was just watching a video about this week. When it comes down to the actual physics, do you know that Deep Impact is the more accurate one? I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I know that.
I'm just saying I didn't know that. Deep Impact actually gets most of it, not all of it, but like 90-some% correct of the actual physics.
Right. Yeah, I knew that.
You know how much Armageddon gets right?
0.
Goose egg.
Nothing about Armageddon is even remotely
Seriously, Chad.
Scientifically accurate.
Goose egg does it get right. And then they go into details about some of the cool scenes you love and how that would never, ever, ever happen.
I know, but at the same time, that I hate those arguments.
Why?
Just because it's a movie. It's not supposed to be as taken a literal representation.
But we've had this argument before. Some movies, yes. If I'm watching Deep Rising, no, I don't think anybody did any scientific research. But if you're doing Titanic and you take the time to get the dinnerware plates right, then you probably need to get the celestial stuff in the sky right too.
Maybe you have that opinion. It doesn't bother me. The only thing that bothers me, as we've talked about in previous episodes, again, are walking skeletons. Makes no sense. Get it out of the way.
I love walking skeletons. I love walking skeletons. I love it. Oh my God, Jason and Argonaut now.
Oh yeah.
I prefer Clash of the Titans.
Ray Harryhausen deserves every medal ever. Rest in peace.
Nobody listened to me.
I chose not to. Yeah.
So yeah. So the guys, who wants to go first on this one? I've got several.
I don't have several. So go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, Chad. You go. And
well, I'll start out with a classic, and I think I know how all of us are going to vote. But we got to talk about the year 1984, when two movies came out that are very similar to one another. I am, of course, talking about Gremlins versus Ghoulies.
Well, one of them's a ripoff, isn't it?
Well, yeah, it's a direct ripoff, but they came out in the same year.
What time did Ghoulies? They had to make that freaking quick.
Yeah, I don't know the actual shot time of the film, but yeah, I mean, they came out. It came out. Let's see, release date was March 1985 for Ghoulies, and Gremlins I think came out later than that, guys. It came out in June. So Ghoulies actually got the bounce.
And Ghoulies really isn't that big of a ripoff, although I'm pretty sure Carnosaur came out before Jurassic Park, and I'm pretty sure that was a ripoff of Jurassic Park.
Well, yeah, that's Roger Corman. But yeah, no, Ghoulies. I mean, I was amazed. I honestly, guys, when I when Barbara came up with this, I did not know that Ghoulies came out that same year. I knew it was a Gremlins ripoff. I just didn't know it came out the same year. I thought it was like 1985, 1986. But no, within the same year, we got Ghoulies versus Gremlins.
Hmm.
Now, like I said, I'm sure we all agree Gremlins far superior. Ghoulies too, there's an argument.
Well, Ghoulies 2 has Royal Dano.
Yeah. And Ghoulies 1 has none of that.
No,
Uh
it's
eh,
no, it really isn't. You are correct. Ghoulies 2 is a actual superior movie.
yeah. And this one, I mean, and they don't really follow the same plot either. Ghoulies 1 is about a young man and a girl and his girlfriend go into this mansion and they become obsessed by a desire to control ancient demons. And then there's dwarfs. What's the correct term?
Small people.
Small people dressed up in medieval armor. It's all weird. It's all a bizarre film with just a bunch of stuff smashed together. Like as I'm watching it, I have it pulled up on IMDb for notes, and they're showing the trailer for Ghoulies 2 for some reason.
Hmm.
Not Ghoulies, Ghoulies 2. But yeah, I mean, I just think in that year, even though Ghoulies got the bounce, I mean, you guys can't go wrong with Gremlins.
I agree.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's vastly superior.
I've got one. You want me to go next?
Oh yeah.
Sure.
Mine came out in 2006. Both movies came out in 2006. James, I'm beating you to this because I just assumed this would be your pick. I'm sorry if it is, but my two are The Prestige and The Illusionist.
Well, real quick, and I'll let you go because that was what I'm going to bring up. Those movies the tropes are the same,
Mm-hmm.
but I would argue they're different movies.
Different movies.
They are different movies, but they do look very similar. They were
Yeah.
sold very similar. I mean, one's a Christopher Nolan wonderful movie, and the other one is
No,
I like The Illusionist.
Really?
I found The Illusionist boring when I watched it in 2006.
Go back and
I've
watch.
never revisited it.
Okay. So let me be honest with this. I saw both films in the theater.
Mm-hmm.
Oddly
At-
enough, Chad, flip of that, I did not see The Prestige in the theater. I saw The Illusionist in the theater.
At that time, I actually preferred The Illusionist to Prestige, and I think it's mostly because Paul Giamatti.
Yeah,
It's
Paul
Paul
Giamatti's the best part of the
Giamatti.
movie.
Paul
Yeah.
Giamatti is really good, but I like the fact that really The Illusionist is a romantic.
Yeah.
It's a romance. That's what
Yeah.
it is. And I usually dig the sci-fi and supernatural, and I love David Bowie.
As Tesla, yeah.
As Tesla, yeah. But to me, The Illusionist is a romance, and The Prestige is not. I mean, yeah.
And see, that's the thing. Upon second viewings, guys, it's The Prestige for me 100% now, and I still like The Illusionist, but I think the fact that The Illusionist was built on a twist.
Yeah, once you know the twist, yeah.
Yeah, after that,
which is all about illusion anyway.
Yeah, the movie kind of lost its momentum for me, and I went back actually this last year to go watch it. I got halfway through and I turned it off. I've not done that. I've seen The Prestige several times since then. I've never done that. So yeah,
but The Prestige is kind of a twist too. But I mean, it's more than a twist though. Whereas The Illusionist is just the twist.
Yeah, The Illusionist is just a twist. The Prestige is much more, which is why I'm able to go back because I just love the performances.
Yeah.
So
no, I mean it's. Yeah.
But
I like both of the
other than
films,
Paul Giamatti, everybody else's performance is just kind of flat to me.
I like The Prestige. However, that may very well be one of Christopher Nolan's lesser films.
You think?
I still have a problem with the whole coil, and basically it's electric magic, and the the alternate. I don't want to give too much away. People haven't seen it. To me, it just doesn't fit in the movie.
And James, Joe cut you off. What were you saying?
Oh, I was going to say, what do you think one of his lesser movies is? Chad, I was just curious.
Oh, Tenet.
I've still never finished watching it. I did finish watching Oppenheimer and enjoyed it, but I feel like I've got to watch Oppenheimer twice to really enjoy it.
Maybe, yeah, because I watched it the first time and I'm just like,
it's so much, Chad.
Yeah, I know.
So much to digest.
But
I was finishing it last night and I thought I'm going to have to rewatch it because I had to watch it over because it's 3 hours long over several nights.
Yeah.
And then I thought to myself, I'm going to have to one day find 3 hours and just watch it again. So the plot will get out of the way.
Yeah, no, yeah, but yeah, I never thought The Prestige was one of his lesser films. I thought it was beautifully shot, well acted,
It is beautifully shot. Well, I have a problem with the
the
thing at the end.
electricity.
Yeah, it just
But yeah, you like
you get
walking
what I'm saying?
skeletons. Yeah, but you
Huh?
like walking skeletons. Shut up.
Yeah, because they're fucking cool. And there's no walking skeletons in that. It's just from the first 70, 80 minutes the way he
Oh my
sets it
God.
up.
If they had a walking Hugh Jackman skeleton, Joe would be like, Oscar, Oscar, Oscar. Why isn't this on
Wouldn't
the
a
bi-"
walking Hugh Jackman skeleton look like everybody else's skeleton?
Well, yeah, that's the point.
All skeletons look the same, you racist bastard.
Not an Army of Darkness. Good job, Sam Raimi.
There you go. All right, James, pick one.
You know
But you
what? I'm
took
gonna.
mine.
No, I didn't mean to. I was just you could
No,
have went
I
on.
actually I assumed you'd do that. Go.
I have a question, gentlemen, because when this came up, I went back because I knew of 3 films. I'm like, aha, I'll trump them all. I'll do 3 films that came out the same year that are very, very similar. And when I went to look it up, gentlemen, I was wrong.
He throws
There were
around that
5
gentleman word.
films, 5 films that had this plot in the year 1989.
Oh, okay. I thought you were getting ready to do mine. Okay, go for it.
See, in 1989, gentlemen, evidently what everybody wanted to go see at their local Googleplex, Cineplex, what have you,
Googleplex, you say?
is that you need to have people stationed somewhere. Why don't you just station them underwater? And then you're going to have some scientific or horror heebie-jeebie monster outside. 1989, I didn't realize how close together these were. We kicked off January 13th, 1989 with Deep Star 6.
Yeah.
So you got to go see that. Hey, if you enjoyed that, don't worry. By the time you get to March, I guess barely 2 months later, you get Leviathan.
Yeah.
We
did this.
Yeah, Leviathan, March 17th, 1989. Don't worry, you only have to wait a month and 4 days because then you're going to get Lords of the Deep.
No, I don't. We didn't talk about that. We just talked about the 3. I don't remember the Lords of the Deep, but we talked about this on our 89 episode.
Lords of the Deep dropped April 21st, 1989. But don't worry, gentlemen, because it's going to be a little bit of a long stretch. You're going to have to wait all the way till July 1st, and you're going to get the epic one, the one probably best known still today, of course, The Evil Below.
Never heard
And
of it.
later on, some hack named Cameron came out with something called The Abyss. I don't know anything about that one. But the point being, what was about what was happening actually probably in 1987, 1988 that made everybody go, you know what we need? Underwater stations with heebie-jeebie monsters outdoors.
Yeah.
What was going on? It was very interesting.
I don't know because offshore drilling had been a thing for over a minute by that time. I don't.
Oh, yeah.
What was in the water?
Yeah, that's what I mean. So it's very interesting to me. And by the way, I was sitting here, and I must admit, I've seen War Gods of the Deep, but I don't know if I've ever seen Lords of the Deep.
I've never heard of it till you brought it
All
up.
I can tell you is they ripped off 1980s Raise the Titanic, all of them.
I'll keep that in mind.
I think he's thinking beyond the Poseidon.
By the way,
but that's okay.
By the way, out of the 5, Leviathan.
I agree. As far as just to turn it on and enjoy it, The Abyss is a monumental feat in filmmaking. And at the time, nothing existed quite like it.
Right.
Leviathan.
It also was the only one that went on to be, somewhat of a success, or probably the biggest success. By the way, though, credit where credit is due. Now, Lords of the Deep didn't have a hugely known cast as what we would consider today. The actors were Bradford Dillman, Priscilla Barnes, Daryl Haney, etc., Richard Young. But interestingly enough, it was directed by Marianne Fisher, who was more known as a producer. So there you go.
All right. Is it Chad's turn again?
Yeah, and I am so conflicted as to where I go with this because I have such an interesting list.
Just like your sexuality.
I'm going with this one because I think this one might cause us to argue just a little bit.
No.
Now, granted, guys, this did not come in within the same year. It actually came out. These 2 movies came out in the span of a year apart. I am, of course, talking about The Dark City and the ripoff of that, The Matrix.
Well, here's the question.
I mean,
Chad.
Alex Porras has shared those.
How about Existence? Venture.
Existence with Dave Cronenberg's film.
Cronenberg. I said you're right.
I don't know what year that came out. I didn't even think
same
about
year
that.
as The Matrix.
Oh wow, I didn't even think about that.
I believe also you could add the 13th floor to that conversation.
Yep, you can.
Yeah, yeah, you could.
I've only
All
seen
of
parts
these-
of it. I've never seen all of it, but you can.
I've seen all the. Actually, I enjoyed the
have to.
13th floor.
As
Here-
did I.
Here's the entire thing about it. Of course, Matrix wins the spectacle. Matrix wins the spectacle. 13th floor is smart. The Matrix is smart. Don't get me wrong. The Matrix, the first one, is smart. It's smart. I mean, it's not brilliant. Smart. Like there's the entire thing. Actually, my favorite review of that movie, I went and saw it in the theater, and I had class, you know, the next day I was taking it was required a basic bio class. And I just remember the professor came in and she immediately said, okay, here's the thing about that movie. And we all knew where she was going. It takes more energy. You have to feed a human more energy than you can get out of it
Mm-hmm.
because it has to preserve the host.
Yep.
And so I'm like, so the science is cool. It ain't smart, but it's cool.
I mean, to me, it's still the Matrix out of all of those, just because the Matrix was so different.
I agree.
it-
It's different. The actions.
It's
fun.
just not, we talked about this though, James. Remember 1999 that some people remember we did a whole episode of people still think that may very well be the last great year of cinema.
No, but I love, like, to me, and to kind of go to Chad's point, Dark City and the Matrix isn't the same.
It's not.
I mean, they're
very similar.
They're very stylistically similar, but
Both have one person who can destroy this artificially created world by these other beings who are using them for different. So granted, the Matrix are using it for electricity. In Dark City, they're using them to observe so they can learn how to survive. I mean, it's the same thing because the machines are trying to stay alive, and the aliens in Dark City, the I forget their names, are trying to learn how to adapt because they're going extinct.
The Dark City thing, they call it tuning, but I can't remember.
They call that tuning, but I can't remember what the aliens are called.
But yeah, because they change the world so they can understand, like, what's it to be rich?
Yeah,
what's
every night they change the world and change people's roles to see how they react.
But I would argue that honestly, you could do a train or a scale, right? And I would argue if you want to start pulling that thread, you have to go all the way back to City of Lost Children.
Yeah, you could make
you could go
City
that
of Lost
way,
Children, Dark City, then Matrix.
But the City of Lost Children really doesn't have that thread. It's just an evil scientist stealing kids' dreams to become young.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, but because that's the way he preserved himself.
But there is no alternate reality like there is in Dark City and the Matrix. That's where I'm having that disconnect with your argument.
But I think City of Lost Children, the movie itself is so dreamlike. I think
that is true. I'll give you that.
So I mean, it doesn't seem like the real world, even though it's not its own world, right? And so that's what, like, I think, and I want to give credit to City of Lost Children. I think so much style came from that movie that it doesn't get credit for.
Mm-hmm.
And if you've never seen City of Lost Children, go see City.
Oh my
or
God,
Dark Star, or Dark Star, or Dark City.
Dark City is one of my favorite. And actually, to be honest, I used to do it all the time to aggravate
You would
Joe.
pick Dark City over Matrix?
I wouldn't.
It depends on what I want to watch. If I want to watch an action film, no, of course not.
Yeah.
But I think what's interesting to me about Dark City that we don't see in the Matrix, you get a little bit of it but I don't think you have, and I used to do it all the time as I was getting ready to say to aggravate Joe. Kiefer Sutherland's character in Dark City is such a unique character in my mind for that type of film.
Yeah.
Like he's suffering, but he won't take them on himself, right? So I'm going to give you the breadcrumbs. They don't like water. They don't like, all that stuff. And that character, to me, Joey Pants is a fascinating turncoat in the Matrix. It's one of my favorite scenes where he's like, this isn't real. I don't care.
Yeah, I
I
agree.
can taste it. That's fascinating. But I think Kiefer Sutherland's character is so more. So what I'll say is, it's kind of like Seven Seal is one of my favorite movies. It's not one I can.
I know Demi Moore underrated.
I
There's
hate
only
you
going to be
so
one or
much.
two people in the audience who are going to get that joke.
So anyway, Seven
But
Seal is one of my
it's
favorite
worth it for
movies.
me every time because I just watch
Um,
James, even though he has sunglasses on, I know he's twitching underneath that.
It's actually I was anyway because I've been grading, so my eyes twitch. That's why I'm anyway.
Sure.
But no, I
Are
think
we still on this?
I really struggle with that though because it's one of those things that I can have a favorite film, and it's you're gonna have to catch what mood I'm in, right? Because there
Yeah.
are times when I would say, yeah, Dark City. I'd rather watch Dark City, but there's also times when I'd rather not.
Yeah.
But yeah, Joe's right. Go see all of them.
Yes.
Yeah,
I mean,
they're all good.
after you, of course, watch every episode of our show if you're just starting with this one.
Yeah, and Murder Virgin.
Yeah, start with Murder Virgin. Actually,
Murder.
they borrowed heavily from us. Don't look
Absolutely.
at when they were made. Don't just watch them.
I
Take them
agree.
in.
Who's next?
That would be you.
Oh, mine came out in. They're both movies about a famous writer, and they what?
They're both movies. Well, I'm glad that's what we've been
Yeah,
talking about
that's-
all day.
Oh yeah, well one came out in 2006 and the other one came out in 2005. I think they were both supposed to come out in 2005, but one of them got punted a little bit. And what I want to talk about is Capote and Infamous.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, both of them good movies, by the way.
They're both really good movies. So Philip Seymour Hoffman won the Academy Award for Capote, but
Toby,
I'm going to go out on a limb. Infamous has the stacked cast. It has Toby Jones as Capote, who is fantastic.
I
Capote.
honestly, I'll say right away, I prefer Infamous over Capote.
I think I prefer Infamous over Capote. It has Sandra Bullock. It has Daniel Craig as Perry Smith. Perry Smith is one of them because Capote kind of deals a little more is about. They're both kind of about the same thing. Capote, I think, takes a little bit more of his life, right? It's been a while since I watched it. And Infamous really deals with just him interviewing the killers that he would base the book In Cold Blood on. So it's Sandra Bullock, Daniel Craig, Sigourney Weaver, Gwyneth Paltrow, Isabella Rossellini. They're all in Infamous. Peter Bogdanovich, Jeff Daniels, Hope Davis. I forgot some of these people were in it. Did you all remember that Jeff Daniels was in this?
I could not remember anything about either movie other than I liked Infamous better.
I think Infamous is a better movie. They're both really good, but Capote came out first and it got all the Oscar buzz from a fantastic performance by Philip Seymour Hoffman. I just feel like his performance of Capote is slightly more, and I know he's dead and I know I'm a shitty actor and nobody gives a fuck about what I think, but I think his is a little bit more caricature, whereas Toby Jones is much more of a full-fledged three-dimensional person.
Yeah, he's more rounded. That's one of the main reasons I like Infamous.
And he doesn't do the voice quite as much. He doesn't.
Right.
It's just more of a. So it's Chad and I agree on something. We rarely do, but I mean, I just think Infamous. And by the way, they're both really good movies. I am not shitting on either one of them. Back to our whole thing of if you had to make me pick, as I recall, it's been a while since I've seen them both. I may have not seen them both since 2005, 2006. Infamous is slightly better. They're both really good. And if you're into Capote, or for all you people out there who love true crime, you should know Truman Capote. He basically invented that shit. He invented that genre. Read In Cold Blood, watch the movie, and then read about Capote and watch both these movies. James, am I wrong?
No, it's such a good book. True. Well, he was doing a form of journalism, and I think that's one of the things that people need. So Truman Capote, for some people, is best known for writing Breakfast at Tiffany's.
Breakfast at Tiffany's, yeah.
But when he wanted to profile these killers, Joe's absolutely right. He kind of created this new form of journalism, and in some ways, I've made this comment
somewhat
before,
like Gonzo.
I was going to say exactly. He put himself in it. He wanted to interview them. He wanted to be in the room with them. He had to, and that's what you actually predicted what I was going to say. I've been around journalism faculty before, and I'm not a journalist by any means. But I make the comment there needs to be an entire wing and you need to have Truman Capote on one side and Hunter S. Thompson on the other, because they were the ones that kind of went, okay, well, we have to be part of the story because we're the one interpreting for the audience.
Yeah.
Now they took that in two very different directions, but I would love that's what's the Steve Martin play that he did? Something at the Alpine.
Picasso at the Lapin. It's a fantastic play.
It's about these figures meeting.
Mm-hmm.
I've always thought, wouldn't it be great if we could just synthesize what a conversation would be like between Hunter S. Thompson and Truman Capote. Like I'd watch that as a film.
They could have met. There's no reason for them not to have met each other.
Oh, I'm sure. Well, it's the
I
same.
need to
and
look
it's the
into
same
that.
thing. It's the same thing as Harlan Ellison and Hunter S. Thompson. They both, by the way, comment on each other's work, but a lot of people say they actually never met.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
There you go. All right, Chad or James?
Oh God, well, James just went, didn't he?
No, that was Joe.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
then
no,
go,
he
James.
he stole mine again, Chad.
I'm sorry.
James, go.
I'm
glad I
going to
can
talk
set
about
'em
one
up for
that I
James.
haven't. I'll be honest. I haven't seen all of these. I haven't seen both of them. I haven't seen all of them, either one. But I think we need to mention it because it's one of the most famous examples of everything spiraled out of control, and it's got some phenomenal talent before. And both movies performed really close together, like at box office returns.
Mm-hmm.
Both films are about friends deciding, you know what, we'll just engage in casual sex. Like let's stop dating, let's stop doing all that stuff. It's too much work. But one of them was directed by Ivan Reitman and was written by Elizabeth Merriweather. And they discovered the other one was going to come out later in the year. And originally, both of them were titled Friends with Benefits. One of them kept that title. The other one changed to No Strings Attached.
Right.
Ugh.
I can't remember. I don't know that I've seen either one of them.
I've seen No Strings Attached.
I've seen clips of. What's really funny to me, though, is that okay? You do have Ivan Reitman. You have so all of that stuff happened. They did similar at the box office as far as both of them made. They were minorly profitable, not huge hits, but minorly profitable. But what's funny to me is one of them stars Ashton Kutcher, the other one stars Mila Kunis
and Justin Timberlake, right?
Yeah, but it's funny to me that they would eventually get married in real life, and they both were literally filming at the same time, doing everything else. It's just a weird set of coincidence, but yes. So,
is this Is this one where I can say neither?
Well, here's the entire.
I just haven't seen them. I just realized, you think you've seen every Ivan Reitman film, and then I realized, no.
I know I've seen both. I couldn't tell you either one. I just remember watching them annoyed.
I didn't know this either, though. Did you know NBC also had a TV show that came out, and it did come out with this title, Friends with Benefits, that came out later in 2011 that had the same plot and got canceled after 8 episodes?
And there's another show. There's another movie. I think it's the one with Jake Gyllenhaal and whatever her name is. It's like Love and Other
Drugs.
Drugs, yeah. Isn't that the same plot too?
No.
Okay. Well, I have no idea. I've never seen it.
That one's actually not bad, but they actually have two people who can act.
Are you saying that
shots fired?
Hold on. Are you saying Natalie Portman can't act? Gee.
Oh, I forgot Natalie Portman was in that other one. Okay, Natalie Portman can act.
Natalie Portman can act. She's in that movie where what's the medieval movie?
The Phantom Menace.
Yeah.
No.
Which was number 2 at the box office last weekend.
Your Highness. By the way,
was it My Beaver Burns?
Beaver, something like that.
Yeah. With Fury.
Beaver Burns with Fury. That's such a funny.
She is the best part of Your Highness. And by the way, it's a stoner comedy, and that's usually not my thing, but she is the best part of Your Highness.
I'm sure, because her beaver's burning. Who's Chad? Go.
Okay, guys. This one's a triple, a fatal 3-way. I forget what the wrestling term is.
I was in a fatal 3-way once.
We're gonna start off with the obvious one, guys. Conan the Barbarian.
Yeah.
Are you going to bring up Ator?
God damn you, James. The Beastmaster and Ator, the Fighting Eagle.
I don't know Ator.
Oh, you do too? Do you know how much O'Keefe that movie has, Joe?
Miles.
It has miles, O'Keefe.
So Ator, the Fighting Eagle is a direct ripoff of Conan the Barbarian. It's an Italian film.
They made a bunch of them too.
It is absolutely terrible, but they made James keeps cutting me off. They made 3 of them.
Oh, did they make 3? I've only seen 2.
They've made
What's
3.
the third one?
I don't know. I didn't look it up.
What?
Because that wasn't made in 1980. And the logo is the exact same ripoff of Conan too, guys. It's Ator with the sword going through it, just like Conan. But here's where I'm gonna, guys. I prefer Beastmaster out of all of them.
Really?
I was never a Conan fan.
I'm not a big Conan fan either. I like Schwarzenegger in it and I like scenes in it, but I don't overall like the movie. I agree with you.
I think Conan's boring. You know, the one scene I really like is the scene at the beginning where he's being and where he's spinning the wheel and it just shows him getting progressively bigger, which makes no sense. But
Mhm.
hey, it doesn't matter. But no,
He kept building he's building his muscles.
I always genuinely loved the Beastmaster.
I
That was
watched one.
I loved it as a kid, and I watched it recently, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, and I still love it. And I always forget Rip Torn's in it as, but
Yeah.
Rip Torn, John
That's
Amos,
Rip Torn. Yeah.
Rod Loomis is in it. So is who else is in that? Oh crap, I'm forgetting their name.
Oh, Chad, you were wrong. There's 4 of them.
Oh, there's 4 Ators.
It is, by the way, just so everybody knows, because Ator was mocked by Mystery Science Theory 3000, except they didn't call it Ator. They used the alternate title, which was
Ator Invincibly.
no cave. Was it Cave Dwellers? I think it's
Oh, maybe. I don't know.
So it was Ator the Fighting Eagle. Now, when they found out Conan was going to get a sequel, Joe D'Amato, who directed it,
Yeah.
immediately started shooting the follow-up, which was called The Blade Master. That was 1983, which was followed by The Iron Warrior in 1987, and the last one in the Mighty Ator series was Quest for the Mighty Sword.
Hmm.
However, Chad, do you know why that one's not known as
No,
well?
why?
Because while it is about Ator, they could not get all them Miles O'Keefe back. They
Hmm.
had to settle for Eric Allen Kramer.
And he
as
ain't no
Ator.
Miles O'Keefe.
No, you can't even. I can't even. That's barely a kilometer, O'Keefe.
Yeah. I can't do man.
I saw Ator originally, like when I was a kid, and I will not watch it now because I just remember hating it as a kid. And that's when I would watch anything. I like Baby the Last Dinosaur, for God's sakes.
Well, I
haven't
mean, the
seen
fact
it in
that
a
the
long
Shield
time.
Maiden, I forget her name in the movie, but her shield on her chest is obviously a hubcap.
Isn't it like Rune? Roon?
Yeah, and it's
That spells moon.
it was raised
Or
as
Rune.
his. Yeah, it's Rune, Ron. You're right, and it raised as his sister, and then later on he finds out that that's not actually his sister, which makes everything that they implied was going on in the movie a little bit more palatable.
Yeah, I just had to mention that. The Beastmaster, Don Coscarelli. By the way, okay, better director, John Milius or Don Coscarelli?
John Milius.
You think?
Man, I'll be honest, I do like the Conan movies. I have the box.
Well, he only directed the first one. Hold on, Chad. I wouldn't actually go out of my way for either. I think John Milius is probably, at the end of the day, after all said and done, will be remembered for his writing.
Writing, yeah.
But he did make a couple of movies that people have enjoyed. And honestly, well, I hate when people I need to stop saying, we all 3 have a habit of saying, well, honestly, instead of it's just
Actually,
Yeah.
I say to be honest with you. Thank you very much.
So I don't care for the Phantasm movies. I love the visuals of them, but overall,
No, I don't either. But Bubba
Bubba
Hotep,
Hotep.
John dies at the end
John dies at the end is
with no budget.
yeah, with no budget, did the best they could do for adapting the book.
Yeah.
And it helps that they once again have Paul Giamatti.
And I was trying to remember Survival Quest, but I cannot remember.
Survival Quest is not worth rewatching.
Okay.
Is
So,
that
yeah.
the one with Lance Henriksen?
Yep.
I enjoyed it.
Friend of the show, Mark Ralston.
No, I enjoyed it. I mean, I remember watching it and enjoying it.
And
I don't know
Catherine
that, though.
Keener, I think. All right, is it my turn?
Yep.
Okay.
So two for Conan, 1 for Beastmaster.
Mine takes place in the year 2000, gentlemen. Well, came out in the year 2000.
You need a light. You need a.
And you know
flashlight.
what, gentlemen? You know what people were obsessed about in 2000?
Mayans. No, it's 2000.
Mars.
Yes.
That one.
We got Red Planet, and we also got Mission to Mars. And a year later, we would get Ghosts of Mars. I thought about not mentioning Ghosts of Mars, but I didn't realize just how close it came to Red Planet and
I didn't realize it was
Mission
that
to
close
Mars.
either.
They're all within 18 months, Chad.
Ghost of Mars. That's my vote.
You know what? As much as I feel like that's one of Carpenter's least films, there's
Wait,
some
which one of those is which one of those? I'm sorry, I get them confused. Which one's based on the Disney ride?
Mission to Mars. Neither one of them really are.
One of them was, but one of them wasn't it? Didn't it start out
Disney
as a,
made Mission to Mars.
I thought it was supposed to be based on the ride.
I don't think so. That's called Mission to Space. I'm not for sure. But anyway, so Gary Sinise, I love. It's a stack cast in Mission to Mars, and it was directed by Brian De Palma. And I rewatched the documentary about him, De Palma. If you ever get a chance,
Oh,
watch
Don
it. It's
Cheadle's in
good.
that. Forgot.
He took it because it was a stack cast, and you know it was a big movie, and why not, right? Tim Robbins, Gary Sinise, Connie Nielsen, Don Cheadle, Jerry O'Connell, and Kim Delaney. I could keep on going, but I won't stop there. But he said making it, he was like, Lucas is a friend of mine. Spielberg's a friend of mine. How on earth do they do all this? I'm do the shots and I've got to wait on the fucking special effects guys to show me what it's exactly going to look like. It was infuriating. And I think that comes through in the movie.
Yeah.
He hated the process. He couldn't understand how George and Steve had been doing it all those years. He just hated the process. Red Planet, to me, I haven't seen since it came out. Once again,
Yeah.
Val Kilmer, Carrie Ann Moss, Jessica Morton, Simon Baker, Tom Sizemore,
Which
Terrence Stamp, Benjamin
that's
Bratt.
isn't that mostly known now because of the fact of Val Kilmer and Tom Sizemore getting into it?
I didn't know that story.
Oh yeah. I forget who. I want to say Val Kilmer got pissed that Tom Sizemore got a gym in his contract, and so he gave Tom Sizemore shit until Tom Sizemore snapped.
The thing
Because
is,
Val Kilmer is an asshole.
yeah, but I love the documentary about him.
Yeah, I do too. Even though, like I said, it is completely one-sided.
Yeah, it is, but I watched something with somebody else the other day, an interview, somebody we've crapped on a lot, and I was like, oh, I kind of get him more now. And
Yeah.
and that kind of helped me with him. So, yeah, Red Planet's a terrible movie. Ghost
By
of
the
Mars.
way, according to Entertainment Weekly, Mission to Mars was
On which
a
ride?
movie inspired by uh Disney World's version of it was ultimately replaced by one of the most controversial additions in Disney park history's extraterrestrial alien encounter.
Yeah, I remember Extraterrestrial. It wasn't
That's-
scary, but it
Is
was
that the
kinda
one that got replaced by Lilo and Stitch?
That's the one was replaced with a Stitch. I still actually have a hat for it somewhere or something. It was a really good ride that got a little scary.
Yeah.
I said, but it deserved to be at Disney. I don't know that it deserved to be in the Magic Kingdom. That's a
Yeah.
whole other episode for a whole
So the studio adapted the attraction into a feature 7 years after its last operated at the Magic Kingdom. So yeah, there you go.
Makes no sense. Anyway, Mission to Mars has nothing to do with alien encounter. Mission to Mars is about the origins of Earth, and that's De Palma talked about that was part of and it is the most interesting part of the movie, of how did life start on Earth, where we play, and it's stuff that Prometheus and other movies have also dealt with. And Chad's probably right. The best movie, even though it's John Carpenter's least, the best movie about Mars maybe will be Ghost of
Goes to
Mars.
Mars. Well, no, the best movie about Mars is, of course, Total Recall. But
Actually, and I haven't seen it since I was a kid, but I had a really fond place for a science fiction film called Robinson Crusoe on Mars.
oh yeah,
since I was a
but it's
kid.
no Total Recall.
It's no Total Recall. That's true.
You're talking, of course, about Colin Farrell's Total Recall, right?
I
yeah,
would
of
not
course.
in any way, shape, or form ever talk about Total.
It's got Kate Beckinsale.
Oh, she's lovely and talented, and that is a terrible movie. Colin Farrell is lovely and talented, and that is a terrible movie.
I've never seen it, nor do I want to.
I haven't.
Yeah,
I got it.
Bryan Cranston in it. He is lovely and talented, and it's a terrible, terrible.
Chad, this is a true story. I was at Walmart and they had a $5 multi-pack film,
Yeah.
and it came with the original Total Recall, the remake, and 2 other science fiction films. I bought the pack for the 2 other I can't remember what they were. One of them I really wanted to see, and I'm like, $5, I'll buy it. And so it came with the remake, and I watched it, and I was like, it didn't need to happen. I mean, it would, if I'd never knew the other one existed, I'd be like, oh, this is interesting, but I'd seen the other one. So
It's not even a good remake. They literally changed it and left what was interesting about the other movie and didn't bother to move that over.
Yeah, that's fair.
I,
Fair.
I think it's completely fair. Like they didn't even move the interesting parts of the other movie over. It's such a anyway.
Oh, Joe, real quick
James,
before Mission to Mars, who do you know who was supposed to direct it before Brian De Palma?
he was replaced. Brian De Palma came in at the third hour. I can't remember who the original
Gore
director.
Verbinski.
Gore Verbinski. What happened?
Yeah, I don't know. It just says Gore Verbinski was the original, and then they
No,
got
he
the
came
budget.
in. And in the documentary, if you guys are filmmaker fans out there, definitely watch the De Palma one. I think it's on either Tubi or something. It's great. It's fantastic. You can watch it for free.
James.
Well, gentlemen, I'm gonna talk about a film that we got, or two films that we got in 2004 that nobody's gonna predict that I'm gonna talk about. But it's very interesting to me because I think it tells us about why we were divided as a country in 2004. For those that may not know, in 2004 there was a very contested election that had occurred. And one of the interesting parts about the election, though, was both candidates had children, had youngish, teen, young adult children. And so we got two movies that ask the question about, well, who's going to be their bodyguard? Both these movies failed, by the way. But you got
As they should have.
Chasing Liberty
Yeah.
and First Daughter.
I saw
Now-
First Daughter, maybe.
I didn't see either one, so I'm out on this one, guys.
Chasing Liberty was the story of the 18-year-old daughter and her misadventure. She goes overseas because she wants to do a gap year, the traditional story. But they have to guard her. And so that's Chasing Liberty. They literally have to chase her overseas, protect her. And then First Daughter came out. And that, by the way, Chasing Liberty with Mandy Moore.
Yeah.
So, again, the other one was First Daughter with Katie Holmes. So both, coming out of their teen whatever phase. I don't know. They're
Whatever
Tiger
it's
Beat.
called, dude.
Tiger Beat. I don't know. Tiger Beat's still a thing. You kids still reading the Tiger Beat?
I don't give a damn, James.
But both of them, by the way, they flopped completely at the box office. Weren't big hits, but there you go. It was, but I think it's an interesting thing that those came about, I would assume, because all of a sudden there was a realization of whoever gets elected, they have, whichever president we got would have had a youngish daughter. And so it just became, who has to protect her? And by the way, neither of those movies, though, can hold a candle to the absolute best, and this is for you, Barbara, the absolute best movie about somebody having to guard somebody that was linked to the president. And that is, of course, the phenomenal Nicolas Cage film, Guarding Tess.
Yes.
Guarding Tess. Actually, I caught part of it. I caught the last 20 minutes of it the other day. I'm like, you know what? Actually, I need to go back and watch Guarding Tess.
I swear to God, I thought it was more of a comedy than it was. It's not that much of a comedy.
No.
That third act is really dark.
Yeah.
Where he has to save her. That's what I caught. And I was like, you know what? I can see why he got that rock picture.
Yeah. All right, guys. Any honorable mentions?
Oh, I got to do one.
Do it.
Yeah.
Paul Blart versus Observe and Report.
Yeah.
I mean,
thematically, they're very similar. In actuality, they are not.
They're the exact opposite. But two movies in the same year about mall security. And Observe and Report nailed it.
There's a ton of these. Barbara's right. I'm going to do two, and I could go on. But
yeah, there's a ton. But
there's a ton. I didn't realize there was this many. I got to give Barbara credit.
Yeah, no, there's a ton.
Babe and Gordy came out in the same year too.
Yes, and actually Gordy came first. But again, thematically, the similarity was they had pigs. But Gordy is a darker story.
Another one is After Earth and Oblivion both came out in 2013. Now, I don't think I've only seen scenes of After Earth.
I haven't. I
did enjoy it.
I have more like Afterbirth.
All right, anybody? James, you got any mentions?
Yeah, there's a couple. I'll go through these really quick because they're the exact same plot, but they both were kind of big hits, or one of them got multiple sequels. You have Olympus Has Fallen, came out on March 22nd, 2013, followed by White House Down.
Is it bad that I honestly, this is how little I know, because I have not seen either one of those films.
Olympus Has Fallen's okay.
I saw that. I thought they were sequels. I thought White House Down was a sequel to Olympus Fallen.
No, it's Olympus Has Fallen, Olympus is something on fire. There's like 3 of them, I think.
And that's with Gerald Butler, right?
Yeah,
Gerard.
Butler.
Sorry, and White House Down is Channing Tatum.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Um,
Magic Mike. Yum.
The one I joked about earlier when Joe started talking about Armageddon and Deep Impact would be Dante's Peak with Pierce Brosnan, 1997, February 7th, 1997, was joined by Volcano on April 25th, so not too long later,
Prefer Dante's Peak.
with Tommy Lee Jones. Actually, I just love the fact one of my friends always used to get mad and goes, how does he not know what magma is? Like, it's coming out of the ground, and Tommy Lee Jones has that talk. What is that? Anyway, sorry.
Go ahead, James.
Saving Private Ryan and the Thin Red Line, which actually both got consideration for Academy Awards. They both lost, though Spielberg did get his award.
Isn't bad. The best part about Thin Red Line is Woody Harrelson's gas getting blown off.
Oh, they shot off my butt.
They shot off my butt, and then he dies.
Because that's the actual line. He says they shot off my butt, right?
Yeah, and then he dies.
He
And
died.
here's one that makes people mad when I talk about it, but I'm going to talk about it
It's
because
tragic. It's tragic.
I enjoy the one that doesn't get as much love. Ants and Bugs Life. I like ants.
I
Ants
did not
is-
care
it's
for Ants when I
funny.
saw it.
Ants is funnier for an adult. Now,
No,
with a
I
kid, I
enjoy-
like Bugs Life.
I enjoy Ants. I do. But I also like Bugs Life. But I also like the Bugs Life Magnificent Seven ripoff story.
Yeah,
So-
it just
yeah.
works as James has said. Harlan Ellison says that the Seven Samurai
Yep.
story works in every single.
Yep, make it
it's-
science fiction. Make
Yeah,
it
why did
kids,
I
make
say
it-
Magnificent Seven instead of Seven Samurai?
Well,
I
because
failed.
that's all right, Chad. It's just you're right. I'm just saying that it's like we've talked about it. It will work. I just think it just keeps working with different generations. I just do.
Just not the second
right.
half.
And then
Yeah, they can never
Yeah.
nail the actually how you kill it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. No, I agree. By the way, these
But
are
no, they
ones that,
can't. They can't nail adults being terrified of a clown.
No,
just
that's
film
probably
my
true.
wife. But by the way, and these are ones that I would argue are thematically similar, but are very different in actuality. This is the end and the world's end.
Yeah,
They both are about the end of the world, but
They
they're
came out
very
the same year too, right?
Yes.
I didn't realize it came out
2013?
the same year. Ooh, you know,
And-
those are I love both of those. I guess I'd
Oh,
pick
yeah.
The World's End just because
Yeah.
I love those movies.
Yeah.
But I
Well, one of them.
ugh. This is
I like.
the end would never get made today.
Yeah, well, and the world's end is about something. Like it's a comedy, but it has
Yeah.
it's got some heart to it.
Yeah.
The other
it's-
one, a little bit less. But I enjoy both of them. Saw both of them in theaters. By the way, Chet, I'm shocked you didn't bring up this one because you brought it up before. Why do you hate Turner and Hooch and K9? Why didn't you bring them
I was
up?
going to bring
In
it
the-
up, but I wanted to bring up Ator.
Oh my goodness, that's a good one. And there's one, and we need
By
to
the way,
wrap up.
and this is where everybody gets. I know everybody disagrees. And I prefer K9. I always will. Won't
I
shake
haven't
me.
seen K9 in a long time.
I watched it last year. I still love it.
I preferred
One-
K9 when it came out. I saw both of those in the theater.
One other one that's similar thematically in that it's about something. The themes are similar, but that obviously plays very different. The Truman Show and Ed TV.
Yeah.
Truman Show.
Oh, that's
yeah.
another good one. Oh, I have one more, and then we probably do need to wrap it up. Snow White and the Huntsman and Mirror Mirror both came out in 2012.
Both suck.
I kind of enjoyed Snow White and the Huntsman, but that sequel to it's almost unwatchable.
No, I didn't care for you. I didn't care. I'm not a big Snow White person. I know. I'm the least Disney person in this trio. I just don't care
Well-
for the story of Snow White.
Well, Snow White also, though, as a story is like, unless you go back to the original Grimm, there's not much to that story, right?
Right.
She's an apple.
Yeah.
She
Not
dies.
conscious.
All right, guys.
Some dude shows up and saves her.
This has been Bonehead Weekly. Hope we.
Thanks, Barbara.
I was about to say, hopefully we did a good job, Barbara. Talk to you all
And if
later.
you don't like it, it's Joe's fault, and he wouldn't let us tell you that to your face.
By the way, Beastmaster totally wins.
I mean, Beastmaster's a lot of fun. Actually, the Beastmaster, the sequel through the Portal of Time, at the end where he
Oh,
turns
with
on that,
with Wings Hauser as the villain. Yeah.
where he turns on that radio at the end for the monks. That's just being kind. That's where he's got that car back in time. I tell you, that's just good, man, right there.
This has been Bonehead
That's
Weekly.
all I remember of the movie.
I'm stopping.